This morning, the local fugitive known as Fat Leonard is back in custody after weeks on the run. Thanks for joining us here at 6 a.m. I'm Eric Connard.
And I'm Netta Irampour. Leonard Francis is the mastermind behind one of the biggest corruption cases in U.S. military history. CBS 8's Dana Marie McNichol live outside the federal courthouse downtown. These are some major developments, Dana Marie.
Yes, good morning, Eric and Netta. We have a lot of information to break down for you that's new, but what we do know is that U.S. Marshals say Fat Leonard broke his GPS ankle monitor and fled from his home here in San Diego and Torrey Highlands. He then used his own name and passport to get on multiple flights. He was actually found in Venezuela because an international database was flagged because he was using all of that information. Now, here's some background on why he's being followed and why the military is accusing him. The military contractor Leonard Francis pleaded guilty in 2015 to bribing Navy officers in exchange for helping his ship servicing company over in Singapore. So it turns out because of their deal, the U.S. government was overcharged millions of dollars. Now, extremely wealthy Malaysian defense contractor was the mastermind behind a complex bribery scheme in which Francis supplied naval officials with travel, lavish gifts, and prostitutes in exchange for classified information, which Francis used to overbill the government by at least $35 million. Now, more than 30 Navy officers were also convicted in this case for divulging classified information and accepting things like Cuban cigars, watches, and gourmet meals. Francis was facing 25 years in prison, and just weeks before that sentencing hearing that was supposed to happen today, he fled. Now, we're told that Fat Leonard was captured alone in Venezuela, and again, he was originally supposed to be sentenced, but right now the next step is to extradite him back to San Diego. So, of course, we've been following this from the very beginning. We will continue to do that as he comes back to San Diego and he awaits the courtroom. I'm Dana Marie McNichol coming to you live from downtown.
Dana Marie, thank you so much for that. And now this morning, 2 people are dead after yet another earthquake in Mexico. In the 6.8 magnitude quake, it struck early this morning while a lot of people were sleeping, and it caused these tall buildings to sway all the way in Mexico City, east of where the epicenter is. Mexico's president says it was an aftershock from the 7.6 magnitude quake that hit the area on Monday in that same region. This one was also centered in the western state of Michoacan, right off of the Pacific coast. You see a lot of people coming out into the middle of the street in the middle of the night there.
New video this morning of a violent incident in the air. Take a look at this. It happened on a flight from Cabo to LAX yesterday. You can see a man hit an American Airlines flight, boom, right there on the back of the head. The airline tells us the plane landed safely at LAX and the man was arrested. No word on what led up to this assault. The flight attendant was hurt, but right now we don't know how seriously.
The city of Chula Vista is now reviewing community input from a meeting last night over the future of Harborside Park. It's a story we've been working on for you. It comes because of growing crime and drug use at that park, including a shooting that forced a nearby school into lockdown. CBS 8's Chris Groh is live in Chula Vista now with what happened during that meeting. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Netta. Look, this is a story that we've been covering very frequently because of so many concerns here in the community. Now, the encampment's been cleared, the park has been closed, but a lot of people in this community are still worried that even when the park reopens, we could potentially see the same problems arise.
For me, it was a concern that they'll start seeing it as, oh, okay, it's okay, to live that way.
I feel bad because I have family in Mexico, but this is for my future, for my kids.
Now, remember, when this park was open, a homeless encampment grew out of control. There was multiple reports of drug use, crimes, fights, including a shooting that took place days after the city council voted to close the park. Now, that closure was for 90 days. Fast forward to today, and again, the safety is still the #1 priority for those involved in last night's brainstorming session. That's why we heard from so many people about it, including from those in the Chula Vista Elementary School District, parents, as well as residents. They want the city to develop a long-term solution. Unfortunately, nothing specific to the park in Harborside Elementary has been finalized by the city. That's why they're reviewing what's been suggested at last night's meeting. Now, there was a city council member there that did mention a homeless shelter that's opening up, but that's not until next year. So what's next, again, is still unknown. And you have the issue again, of safety and potentially that homeless encampment coming back once the park reopens. Now, something that we covered when that initial vote took place is that the city manager does have the discretion to extend that closure, but the people who live in this area don't want to see the park closed for a long period of time or potentially forever. They want to see the root issue addressed. Netta?
An interesting one on how they'll handle that. Chris Groh, thank you for that. This morning, local basketball legend Bill Walton, you see him there, he's calling out San Diego's Mayor Todd Gloria over our homeless crisis. Now, he says he's been threatened, chased, and assaulted. He specifically mentioned the area right along Park Boulevard near Upas Street, that's right near the San Diego Zoo. Bill Walton and the mayor exchanged emails over this issue. In his latest message, Walton said, quote, "You have failed to deliver a safe, clean, healthy, and secure environment for us to live, work, and play in our own neighborhoods." In a statement, the mayor's office says no one is taking more action on homelessness. Now, this morning, Oceanside is getting ready to open a new navigation center for homeless. The shelter will provide health care and connections to permanent housing. The county offered $10 million in grants to help cities tackle the homeless crisis, yet 3 cities stepped up. The program also awarded the city of San Diego and Vista, and that money will go for safe parking programs.
New this morning, 2 American prisoners captured in Ukraine by Russia are now free. This comes after an exchange brokered by Saudi Arabia. The men are military veterans from Alabama who volunteered to fight for Ukraine. They were captured in June. They are expected to return home after medical checks. President Biden says the world must continue supporting Ukraine as the threat of nuclear war escalates. This comes after Russian President Vladimir Putin said they would use, quote, every means at their disposal in the war against Ukraine. In a speech at the UN, President Biden called those remarks irresponsible.
A nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought.
The president also denounced Putin's order for a partial mobilization of reservists. That news set off protests across Russia. And get this, sparked an exodus of people taking one-way flights out of the country. Take a look at this, a time lapse of flights departing Russia, and this went viral. This morning, former President Donald Trump is on the defensive. A federal appeals court just ruled the Justice Department can resume its review of classified documents seized from his Florida home. But Trump insists the documents were declassified.
If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
Meantime, the New York Attorney General is suing Trump, his company, and his 3 oldest kids for fraud. The civil suit claims that Trump's lied to lenders and insurers to inflate the value of their properties. Trump is calling this another political attack.
The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates again, this time by 0.75 percentage point. The goal is to curb record inflation. The rate hike will now push up the cost of borrowing to buy homes, cars, any other large items, and it'll likely increase household credit card debt. We're going to take a closer look at how to protect your finances. That's in our next half hour.
Taking a peek outside here on a Thursday, the first day of fall. And,
here we are.
I feel like it a little bit here today, but boy, summer's going to be kind of coming back, isn't it?
Yeah, you would normally expect that temperatures would drop as we head into a new season, and especially fall for us. However, we're going to see quite the opposite. Temperatures are actually going to be climbing over the next several days. We're replacing a trough of low pressure that's been keeping our temperatures cool over the last week or so with a ridge of high pressure. That ridge of high pressure is going to shift our wind direction. We're going to be seeing offshore winds, much drier, hotter air moving into the county, and that means that we will see a gradual climb in temperatures each day moving forward between now and the beginning of next week. Low 90s, mid 90s in play for your inland valleys. Along the coast, we will be in the 80s, but it is a cool start to the morning. Mostly clear out there. A couple spots are running into patchy clouds, but by the afternoon, we're expecting sunshine across the county. We are also seeing that today is a very mild day still, despite this gradual warming trend. It'll really be felt as those temperatures hit their peak on Monday and Tuesday of next week. As you walk out the door right now, we are in the 50s, some pockets of 40s. Ramona, for example, at 49 right now, 53 for Escondido, 58 in Encinitas, 12 degrees of a difference compared to just 24 hours ago in Ramona this morning. Julian is 13 degrees cooler, Borrego Springs 16 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago. Along the immediate coastline, however, just about a 3 to 5 degree difference. Now, by the time we get to the afternoon, that difference difference is going to be in the positive direction. We're going to be seeing those high temperatures warmer than they were 24 hours ago. Mid and lower 80s for your inland valleys, upper 70s across the mountaintops, coastline staying mostly in the mid 70s out there. Few clouds in the morning, sunshine by the afternoon, and then that gradual climb in temperatures into next week. We'll take a look at the 8-day forecast, talk about when this heat wave will come to an end.